Good evening and welcome to the April 10th meeting of the Town Council. If you kindly rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Announcements. The Merrimack Town Council would like to extend our sincere sympathies to the family and friends of Mr. Peter Flood, who passed away on Saturday, April 3rd, at the age of 91 years old. Throughout his lifetime, his accomplishments were many, to include being a graduate of Tufts University, serving in the Army as a first lieutenant, paratrooper, and jump master in the 82nd Airborne Division, a real estate developer, a writer, and an American Revolution enthusiast. Peter was married to the late Jackie Flood, a former Merrimack Town Councilor, for 55 years, prior to her passing in 2019. Peter served as a member of the Rotary Club of Merrimack, as well as a member of the Town Center Committee for almost 10 years, where he contributed so much to our community. Peter's impressive background, his knowledge, experience, and his gift of storytelling added to his fun-loving and witty character. He will be sorely missed, and if you'd join me for a moment of silence, I'd appreciate it. Thank you. Our upcoming meetings, council meetings, are Thursday, April 24th, May 8th, and Thursday, May 22nd, all three at 7 p.m. here in the Matthew Thornton Room. Paul?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Parks and Rec Department invites everyone to join them Saturday, April 12th for the 33rd annual Easter egg hunt at Wasserman Park, rain or shine. We will be embracing the forecast of rain with a fun-filled event featuring thousands of colorful eggs, special treats, and activities provided by local businesses. Don't miss out on this unique opportunity to engage with the community and create lasting memories. Bring your galoshes and join some fun. Events run from 10 o'clock in the morning to 11:30 in the morning. Any complete details can be found on the Parks and Rec website. That's www.merrimackparks.org. Dog licensing has begun. Notices were mailed on March 31st. All dogs should be licensed by April 30th, 2025 to avoid penalties and fees. The first hazardous waste collection of 2025 will be Saturday, April 19th from 8 to 12 p.m. at 25 Crown Plaza Street in Nashua. That's Crown Street, 25 Crown Street in Nashua. For $20 per vehicle, Merrimack residents can bring up to 10 gallons or 20 pounds of waste. The annual townwide street sweeping begins on Monday, April 14th. Say that 5 times fast. Please try to keep all obstructions out of the road during this time. Updates will be posted on the website under the Highway Division, and you can call the Highway Garage at 603-423-8551 with any questions. And finally, I'm happy to announce that the Parks and Recreation Association Summer Camp Summit and Award Ceremony was held today in Concord. And Merrimack-owned Parks and Rec Director Matt Kasparius was awarded the Wink Tapler Professional Award. This award is the highest professional honor one can receive from the NHRPA. Congratulations to Matt. This is a well-deserved award, and we are very proud of you. So that's incredible that he got that. And I do want to say, James, his assistant over there, worked hard to get all the information that was needed for this award. And it isn't just write a letter and say, okay, Matt does a great job. It was a thick packet that had to go in there for him to get nominated and to win the award. It's a great honor for Matt. It's one of the highest achievements that he could ever achieve. Thank you.
Oh, and I'm going to repeat what I just said. I apologize because I left my mic off. Nancy Murphy's been excused this evening to do her state business. And we have an agenda item that's going to be tabled, so if you're here to be part of that, it is going to be, Paul, where am I?
Nutmeg Lane Drainage and Road and
What number?
Construction. Number 1 underneath new business.
Okay, the withdrawal request from the Road Infrastructure Capital Reserve Fund is not going to be heard this evening. All right, we have no,
Do you want to do the moving?
which one first?
Moving up until the after, no,
I'm going to do this. Yeah, I was going to do this, and then we'll
Yep,
do that.
sorry.
All right. We're going to be shuffling around in our agenda, but first, I would like to continue on order is the recognition of Counselor Andy Hunter, who's decided he was going to leave the council, much to mine and I think our chagrin, and I'm sorry to have heard that that was going to be happening, but this is Andy's last meeting, and so I will have a plaque over here that Andy will put on his wall.
See, I was going to table that from this agenda.
Of course, we'll start off right. The real disappointment is that Sarah Hunter was expected to continue to make cookies for us. She's the most amazing cookie baker there is to be had. But so Andy came on board as he filled a vacant seat, and I can't remember whose seat he took over, but he was appointed and then ran for the election, and has been an amazing asset to the town council. And I absolutely appreciate personally all he's brought to the table, because it's been a wonderful time. But we have presented to Andy Hunter in recognition of the dedicated service you have given for 4 years as a town councilor for the town of Merrimack. It is a pleasure to present you with this plaque. Your dedication and donation of countless hours has made Merrimack a better place to live and work. We wish to extend to you our sincere appreciation for your outstanding performance. May 2021 to April 2025, presented on behalf of the town of Merrimack. Thanks.
So 4 years ago, I did this thinking that I was doing the community a service. I feel kind of guilty saying that today, because I am sure that I took much more out of this experience than I ever gave to the town of Merrimack. To the current town council, to the previous town council, to include Tom, Barb, and the late great Lon Woods, God bless him. Thank you very much. It has been an absolute pleasure to work with you guys. I cannot remember a single day where we had a contentious meeting. Even when we disagreed, there was never any contentions. So thank you very much. It was an absolute pleasure. To Paul and all the town staff, I couldn't ask to work for a better group of people. You guys were always prepared. You always made our job easy. It was simple just to come here, lay out the information, give it to the town council, and let us make a decision. This is exactly the model that any town should be striving for, is the town council here. There are no politics here. This is just taking care of town business. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. I absolutely enjoyed it. And who knows, when life calms down, maybe I'll have an opportunity to be back. So thank you.
Now it's time for you to be quiet and listen to us. First of all, I want to thank you for your many years of military service, as well as your years here. And I think that kind of background I've always appreciated, because it gives a perspective that I really respect. I've always respected your opinion. And one of the characteristics that I hold most dear is integrity, and I think you have that. So thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to say it's been a pleasure to get to know you since my time on the board, and sad to see you leave, but I do hope that things will calm down and you'll be able to come back someday.
Thanks. You good?
I also would like to thank you, Andy. I think as a newer town councilor on the board, I know I came on a short time after you, but I've really learned a lot from you. You've asked the hard questions. You've really determined what the needs of our town are, and have been able to scrutinize the budget, but in a way that takes care of our town, as well as as well as the people who live here. So just thank you for all of your years.
Thank you.
Andy, just, it was short, our time, but I got to know you over these last 3 months, 4 months, and truly appreciate your insight, especially during budget process.
Yeah, we have a timing issue. You were going out as I was coming in, and now I'm going out as you're coming in, so thanks, Pete.
And finally, thank you, Councilor Hunter. You kept us on our toes. We knew that we had to have all the answers ready for you because we didn't know which question was being asked. But you did bring a business mind to the meetings, which was well appreciated by all the staff. And we're going to miss you for, but, you know, there's still the planning board later on that he can be pointed back to, so.
Well,
But no,
I'll
thank
still
you.
be watching. I'll be at home asking the same question, so thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Andy. All right, what we're going to do without objection is move to item number 5 under new business. The council will have a discussion on the results of the April 8th town election as it pertains to the default budget. And I don't know, Paul?
Thank you. On April 8th, the community spoke, defeated our budget proposal, and voted in the default budget. While disappointed in the results, it's what the people of Merrimack wanted. Well, I'm coming before you tonight to ask for some direction for my department heads and myself so that we can, on the 24th, come forward with a new proposed budget for the town of Merrimack. We're looking at about, we're looking at $2,055,374 difference between what the default was versus the budget that we presented. Some of them, it's easy, flatlining the self-supporting funds from one year to the next. We do have some, raises that were voted on by the residents in prior years for union contracts. That will be included in the budget, as they were in the default budget as well. So there is going to be a tax increase. There will be a tax increase just alone by $500,000 of those contracted raises that were voted in prior years. That could be about just 10 cents on the tax rate. So there is going to be a tax increase. There's some other things coming down that we have to look at. Some of the bigger things that I looked at was the master plan. Do we do that, or do we postpone it for another year? We have the 800 Tower project. We still have that federal grant, and we still have money left in that federal grant. Hopefully, we can get it built for that. And if not, that $480,000, that was a grant that we got from the state of New Hampshire as well. So the council, we can take that up at a later date if we need any of that $480,000 for that 800 megahertz tower. Those are some of the bigger projects, and then we do have some capital expenditures that we did put in the budget this year that we'd have to look at to see the need. One was a one-ton dump truck here for town hall, so we could do the paving. Have to evaluate the truck that's here to see if we can get another year out of it. And also, we need to have a discussion about Nashua Transit. Last year, when we were in default, one of the communities stepped up and gave us a grant of $17,000 to help fund the Nashua Transit. That $17,000 is not here this year. We were looking at paying the additional $13,000 we needed. So we have to talk about that. Staffing is definitely on the line. We have to talk about that. And overtime is on the line as well. If this was 2 years ago, we'd have a lot more vacant positions. We are pretty much fully staffed at this time, besides maybe 1 or 2 positions here or there. So those are discussions that we're going to have. Departments are going to have, but it'd be great if the council could give what they're looking for of me bringing forward. Last year, we were able to cut a lot of projects that we had in the budget out. Coming back from a default budget, it was a needs-based budget, this budget. It was needs-based, so there wasn't a lot of these projects where these are projects that we brought forward were needed. So there isn't a lot of, that $1 million in projects that could get cut out of this budget. So, we have to talk about paving. How does council feel about paving? Is that something that the council would like, we need to have these discussions. And I just think that if you could give me some guidance, I can give it to my staff. So next week, we have meetings scheduled to go over the budget with my staff. So it'll be great timing if we could get some feedback from the council of what you see.
Well, I've always seen things like paving as low-hanging fruit. It's something that's easy to do today, but in 10 years, it creates a nightmare. So those are generally the things that I want to, at almost all costs, avoid dealing with. And so, which makes it tougher because not filling positions that haven't been filled is an easy thing to do as well. And just hearing from you tonight, that might not be the case. So I don't know. For me, that's the biggest idea. The infrastructure things that are neglected and will have will have the short-term fixes, but the long-term can be so detrimental. We just got to avoid that.
And I would agree with you on the paving. Paving's around $1.4 million. And I believe when Dawn came forward to do her presentation, she was looking at $2 million a year. So we're already short in paving, but like you said, I think that is one of the low-hanging fruits, but, that's something that we're gonna have to talk about. I forgot to mention, there are other things like parades and concerts and things of that sort that basically, I don't know how the council feels, but it's my opinion that I'm not touching, I don't wanna touch those. I want, the 4th of July parade, the concert series. We get a lot of corporate donations for the concert series. So it almost pays for itself. And I know we're on an appropriation, it's the appropriations we gotta look at, but something like the concert series where we're getting vendors and to pay for those series, or the Rotary or the Lions Club, things of that sort. I really don't see that being beneficial to cut something like that. Or a parade, we have the 4th of July parade, we have the Christmas parade. Do we look into those things as well? Personally, I would not recommend cutting the 4th of July parade, because that's one event that brings the whole town together. The Christmas parade, while it's nice to have Santa come through town, is that something that we need to talk about? And feel what the council's feeling on that.
On the parade specifically, especially the ones where we have corporate sponsorship, I don't think that was the voters' intent, right? When they went to the polls and voted no on the budget, I think it was more to say, let's control spending. So if we have a parade that I know we have to do gross appropriation, but if we have a parade that the majority of it's going to be covered by corporate sponsorship, I don't think that was the message that the voters were trying to give. And I agree with Finley. I think things like paving, they may pay today, but they're going to cause problems for a long time to come. And so I think I would agree, 800 megahertz system, paving, things like that, infrastructure for the town. Personally, that's not where I would look to be cutting. You mentioned overtime. I think that is a area that needs to be scrutinized very heavily. The new positions, we had a couple new positions in the budget. I think that's an area that needs to be scrutinized. There are hard conversations like the Nashua Transit, because that's going to impact vulnerable people within our community. And so that's going to be a tough discussion. I don't know if you can get there without doing that, but it would be nice to be able to not touch that. And then, unfortunately, I think you're going to come down to having a staffing discussion. It's going to be a hard conversation, but I don't know how you get there without having that discussion.
Peter?
Paul, how much of the town budget is made up of people, personnel?
Between 70 and 73%.
Thanks.
I concur with the paving, but it's not a decision all or nothing. There could be a cutting back, even if it's only 400,000. There could be some modification, because I totally believe and agree with you that long-term, it's a temporary problem, but it creates a longer-term worse problem. But I think there's some modification we could talk about. As I mentioned today, last year was a cutback. This year has to be a cutout. It is what it is. And I think I'm trying to listen to the voters too. I'm not sure if it was anything specific, because none of us received information of concern or questions. But I think it was just a no, just stop it. And we just happen to be part of that no. So it's difficult for us to be able to be specific about where we should cut, because we're not getting any indication, which is what I'm hoping the public will let us know. We will make the best decision we can, but it would be nice to be able to receive some feedback from the citizens. Look at this, look at that. Okay, so I guess that's my request to the public, is give us some feedback to help guide us as to where you want it to be. The master plan, I had a question. It's not a regulation that has to be done within a certain time span?
You're supposed to do it every 10 years.
And
We're
we're already
already
late.
past that. That's something, talking to Community Development Director Price, said that we could push it one more year.
But we do have a capital reserve for that, do we not?
No, we do not for the master plan.
Okay, see, that's what I was wondering about.
No,
So we don't have the money for it anyway, unless we take it from somewhere else?
right.
Because that
exactly.
was in the
The
newer budget.
Yeah, and that was $200,000.
I think that's an automatic, in my opinion. It's one of those, put out for one more year,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
because that's significant.
Mhm.
So that's all, I mean, I agree with the Nashua Transit. I mean, if it's a matter of $13,000, let's take $13,000 away from the paving. I mean, those are the kind of things that I would be able to feel comfortable with, is taking some money away from, not zeroing it out, but is there a way of rebalancing things, apparently, is what I'm thinking.
Great, thank you.
Peter?
Well, it's probably still too early for the end of this current budget, but do you imagine that we'll have any unexpended fund balance that we can offset some of this with?
The issue I have with that is a couple issues. I'd love to do pre-buys, but I'm really in a bind because of the Supreme Court case that we lost. And I am in negotiations with the plaintiff in that case to try to figure out the total dollar value. That is why we have fund balance. And it's going to be a significant hit to fund balance. Matter of fact, it's going on next agenda, hopefully on the 24th, for the council to vote on, because I believe I'm going to have to go to the state and ask for them to give me an emergency appropriation so I can pay that bill. We're talking millions of dollars. It's not a couple thousand, it's millions of dollars. Also want to clarify something that I heard the other day about fund balance. The town's fund balance, the only way, we have a fund balance policy, and the council has followed that fund balance policy over a number of years. It's for tax relief, it's for capital improvement projects, it's for one-time expenses, such as a 53rd week of payroll or a master plan. However, they have to be voted on in the budget, which is different than the school's fund balance. School can hold a public hearing and spend their fund balance. The town cannot hold a public hearing to spend their fund balance. It has to be a vote by the residents of Merrimack to approve the use of fund balance. So that's a little different here in the town of Merrimack when you're looking at a town versus school. So that fund balance that I do have, that's $6 to $7 million, is for events such as the court case that will basically wipe out my fund balance. So to answer your question, I'm trying to figure out with the settlement to figure out how much I do need, and then if I can do some pre-buys, I will do pre-buys, such as sand and salt. Other things we might have to cut out of the budget. Give a little, if we're gonna cut some paving, maybe give some money to paving. But right now, I do not anticipate any additional appropriations for the purposes right at this moment.
Jennifer?
It's a tough one because this was a very lean budget. We didn't have fluff to cut out, or we would have cut it out. So I guess I'm kind of in agreement with what Nancy said. You know, looking at overtime, cutting back on paving if we need to. It's tough because Dawn was just here and presenting with us the plan for paving and why you pave in a certain way, and you know, setting it up so that our roads last for years. But, so I certainly wouldn't want to cut all of paving, but that might be an area where we have to. And I'd agree with pushing back the master plan if we need to.
Thank you.
What's that? I'm sorry. Mackenzie?
I would pretty much agree with everything that everyone said. I think in terms of the overtime, that's something that we've all gone back and forth on for a very long time, and I think that's an area where we really need to determine what we want to do there. I think, Paul, you brought up the point around like the holiday parade. Is that something that's also co-sponsored by outside sponsors to help pay for that?
No, it's that's really self-funded through the budget process.
Do you know what the expense looks like on that at all, off the top of your head?
No, I do not. I would have to say it's less than $5,000, because we really don't get bands. It's mostly some detail money and Santa Claus. When Santa comes down from the North Pole, we got to pay for his transportation for those get him down here. So.
I mean, I think a lot of the times we talk about being an involved community, and I think that's really important. And so, as you mentioned, Paul, I would hate to see that go, but at the same time, I think we also need to look at what are the needs of the town. So if that's an area that we can cut back on, and again, I would hate to see it go, but I think if that's $5,000 that we can put elsewhere, I probably would be in favor of that if that's the way that the town council leaned. I would agree too as well with, in regard to like being able to pave, I would say that's something that we could probably hold back on. But I guess that's overall. And then lastly, in terms of like the vulnerable, population of Merrimack, I think that's a population we've seen come out to meetings and that have spoken about the fact that their tax rate is high. So, as well as those that, you know, are the ones that aren't able to get out. So I think, for me, that would be an area where I would hate to see that cut. I would like to see us be able to provide the national transit stuff. But again, that's just my 2 thoughts on that.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mackenzie. Heidi?
Just before we get off the budget conversation, I just wanted to say the voters approved the capital reserve funds. That was hugely important. One of the things I've always been impressed about Merrimack is the way we save instead of going out and borrowing. And it was good to see that the voters recognize that. For whatever reason, they chose to vote down the budget, but they did recognize the fiscal discipline of the town council and the town manager to save up all of those funds. So the fact that they approved that, greatly appreciated that we can keep that, because the minute you break that cycle, it'd probably take a decade to get back into it. So greatly appreciated that article passed.
So I got some great.
Do you have enough?
Yeah. But it does sound like positions.
I think it's inevitable, because when we're talking about a Christmas parade for $2 or $3 grand, it really doesn't help the situation. I think that's unfortunately where we are, and we're gonna see that, I believe, on the 24th,
Okay.
when you make that presentation.
Okay. Thank you. I think we got our marching orders. I think here, and we will try our hardest to present a budget, and we're going to give you, like we always do, some options.
I think one of the things you also, as the costs go up and the revenues don't, that's where the problem is. So we have to maybe look at, for example, ambulance fees. I know there's a state discussion going on, but that's something that could be revisited. The haulers, the independent haulers and their fees kind of thing. So we should be taking a look at any revenue side that we could get, no matter how minimal.
Yeah, we have time for that. The revenues go in September, so I do have some time on that. And I understand what you're saying with the revenues, and we really did a hard look this year with our revenues in the budget, but there are some that we definitely need to take a harder look at. Just want to let you, when the residents went to the polling places and voted, it was only on an appropriation number. Because the way the state is, like Councilor Hunter said, it's gross appropriation. So for the gross appropriation of $40+ million, that's what we have to come out with, even if there's revenue on the other side.
Right.
That counts as my appropriation. I can't net zero, like my police outside detail. I can't net zero that because I know if it's $400,000 in police outside detail and appropriation, I'm gonna get $400,000 in revenue. I can't net zero that in the budget. I have to gross
You have
appropriate.
to show it.
Have to show it. So, but, I do want to let residents know, and we've always tried our best to be upfront, transparent about the tax rate. The tax rate will be going up, even though we're in default because of just the voted on raises for the last 3 years. So,
The only last thing I want to do too is encourage anyone who works for the town. If you have any ideas, just please supply them to us, no matter how crazy, whatever. There's
supply 'em
probably
to your
some good
department head.
ideas out there. Sorry?
supply them to your department heads who can supply them to me, who we can bring forward
I
to
mean,
the
you
town
never
council
know.
that way.
You never
And we could
know.
have some.
Peter?
Yeah, and I think we can keep in mind, we don't hit the panic button, but, and this isn't gonna be an overnight process. There's gonna be hearings, there's gonna be public hearings. We're going to be expressing our strategies on how we're gonna address these issues. And the public will be able to listen in, comment, and give us feedback, and so that'll be important, so.
So is that how it's gonna work? On the 24th, we'll be having this discussion? Will it be coming back? Because there's not I don't believe a
No,
public
there
hearing
is no,
necessary.
no, we're not gonna do, normally we don't do another public hearing. We come in on the 24th. We'll have a discussion about it. If the town council saw fit and they wanted to hold a public hearing before they approved it, we could do that. May,
Yeah, there's some dates.
first, meeting in May, is May 8th. So if you wanted to, you could hold a public hearing on May 8th and then enact it. It just needs to be enacted before June 30th. But, like I said, if we're talking about people and we're talking about positions and things of that sort, I don't want to prolong,
Delay.
delay that. I would like to respect individuals if somebody is in the budget and the position's being removed from the budget. I'd like to respect that individual and, not prolong it with them because I don't want to have them have anxiety either. So,
And the department needs to know how to accommodate that too.
yes.
Paul, I've popped up on, I think, all our screens.
We start now.
Well, it's gonna start at 7:46, so if somebody's gonna be utilizing this, you probably wanna change the time. I can't do it here,
Yep.
sorry.
Technical difficulties.
That was it, all right, perfect. Thanks, I didn't want it to.
I was
become-
gonna go like this.
I know. Thank you, sorry about that.
See, I was paying so much attention. I saw it on the screen, but I didn't read it.
And I was just thinking if somebody was gonna use it for a purpose, they didn't wanna be in the middle of that. All right, so we're all set.
So you all set?
I believe so. I think you gave me marching orders, and we'll bring back the budget with the department heads and work hard to get where we need to be. And like I said, we'll give you some choices and some decisions that are going to have to be made at your level with some of these items. Okay?
None of them are gonna be easy.
No, they're not.
All righty, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're gonna go back in regular order under appointments. Per Town of Merrimack Charter, Article 6, Section 6, at least annually, there should be a review with the Highway Safety Committee. The agenda items to highlight the committee's significant actions, current projects, anticipated actions, and to raise any concerns the council should know about or could act upon. Good evening, Chief.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of Town Council. I had the pleasure of hosting one highway safety meeting this year, in 2024, that Mr. Chairman was at.
And was the chair there? There you
He
go.
was there. It's always a pleasure to work with him.
It's the greatest committee in town.
Hey, just so the public knows that a lot of these issues that are brought to our attention are usually resolved without having a full committee meeting, such as speed issues and such like that. So, the biggest thing I want to say about that first meeting, that one meeting that we had, was that we honored Bob LaRue for his longtime service to the committee. Unfortunately, he had to step away, but he definitely served the town for an extremely long time. I think it was 31 years, if I remember correctly.
It may have been more than that, Chief.
It's 80s, right? I'm doing math wrong.
Yeah.
I don't have it's on the net, so. But yeah, so we appreciate Bob helping us out. We had two issues that was brought to our attention in that meeting. One was the Bishop Street and School Street stop sign request, which I did bring before the council, and it is erected. And it seems to be making the traffic a lot safer over there for the parents and students, so. And the other one was additional signage and lights for the intersection of Wire Road and Bedford Road. It was brought to us by a resident. I looked into the accident numbers for that intersection. They really weren't too extreme. It was discussed that maybe DPW should put the LED flashing stop signs up to bring greater attention to that intersection, because it's rather dark, there's tall trees there, and those will be installed shortly, so. Other than that, there was no concerns and nothing else really brought up. So if there's any questions from the council, feel free.
Peter? No? That's okay.
He did look like he had a question, huh?
He did look like he had a question.
Chief, those LED stop signs, they solar,
Yes, they are with a battery backup.
so no electricity. So we are going green.
Barbara. All righty, Chief. That was too easy. We appreciate it.
I'm just gonna sit right here if
Oh,
we're
you're
going,
the
if we're
next?
going in order,
Oh, yeah, that's,
if that's okay.
Yeah,
I can go back to my seat.
Actually, I was gonna switch it up, but that'll be good, because you're gonna be quick. It's not
Okay,
gonna be a
thanks.
long thing.
Appreciate it.
And that's, the council's to hold a public hearing to authorize acceptance and expenditure from the Abbey Griffin Memorial Fund in the amount of up to $23,703 for purchases of equipment that the chief will be alluding to. And as well, I'll leave it to you guys to make your presentation.
Great.
Instead of
First
reading
off-
through all of it.
First off, we're very grateful to have the Abbey Griffin Fund as a way to fund items that aren't budgeted. It's always a good treat for us to have that, know we have this money coming in to be able to afford things that we normally necessarily wouldn't put in our budget. So I'll just go through what I requested, and then I'll answer any questions at the end, if that pleases the council. The first request was purchase 2 DJI Avatar 2 Fly More drones. These drones are for interior buildings. Currently, we have drones that are for exterior. These drones come with intuitive motion control and first-person goggles, so basically the person's controlling it through virtual reality goggles, and it has basically sensors so it doesn't crash into walls and such. Drones are becoming more and more prevalent in policing to be able to safely search areas that we don't have to insert officers into maybe a dangerous situation. Be ideal for a situation where we might find an open door when we're doing a house check or a business check, or if we happen to show up and it looks like the door is broken. We can deploy the drones from a safe distance while keeping a perimeter to ensure that anyone that might be in the house doesn't escape, to put it up. And the reason why I'm asking for 2 drones is because we have a lot of buildings that are very large. So if we happen to find an industrial building open, that would take a lot of man hours to search. So being able to deploy 2 drones would be helpful. And we would always follow our standard operating procedures for small unmanned aircraft systems. So basically, in our standard operating procedure, it states when and where we can use these drones, and if a search warrant is needed as well. So just so the public knows, rest assured, we're not gonna be flying into your house unless there's a search warrant issued by a judge authorizing such use. The total cost for that drone package for both of them is $3,398. They are currently being deployed by numerous departments in the state, and they've had great success. The next item I would like to request is a Trek Service electric
on.
bike.
Chief, just a quick question.
Sure.
Is this, these drones, do we have to have a specialized operators for them, or can any staff member use them?
Yeah, thank you for that question. Good question. We currently have 2 certified drone operators, so they have to go through a certification course, take an FAA test. There's a lot of regulations behind them. especially with us being so close to the airport. There's a lot of pre-planning that has to be done to make sure we can actually deploy the drone, because we are bordering the airport.
Thank you.
Any other questions on the drone?
Yeah, for,
Yeah, might as well.
yeah, for, thanks, Peter, for opening the book here. I know in the past, we've had a drone or two, and they seem to not work, because we had a situation where we wanted to look inside a vehicle, and we had to wait for a neighbor across the river to bring their drone to us. Does this drone, or do these drones accommodate those night vision and whatever we
Heat
were?
sensitive?
Yeah, we were deficient with our own drones, so.
Correct. And just so you're aware, we utilize Southern New Hampshire Special Operations Unit, which has a $30,000 drone that has all those fixtures on it. This is a simple interior searching drone. It does not have those type of objects. It'll be deployed with lights on it, so the sensors will still react if it's coming close to a wall, but it doesn't have like it will have thermal, but it doesn't have like, nighttime vision or anything like that.
Is that what we were, I don't know if you remember the incident, I don't want to.
Yeah, so there was a couple issues with that. One was the patch with the airport. Ours couldn't go up because it was too close to the airport. And also, they have a more in-depth drone, like I said, at a cost of, $30,000 worth.
So that was the one they brought
Yes.
that, okay.
Yep, and we would still utilize, in certain circumstances, the special operations unit for things as well, because it depends on the situation.
Okay, thanks, Chief.
And just so the public knows as well, we also deploy drones for other other town departments as well, such as DPW. We do flyovers of intersections and to get some overhead pictures.
Very good. All right,
Anything else on drones?
thanks.
Next was the Trek Service electric bike. This bike would be useful for search and rescue in areas that are too tight for our side-by-side utility to get through. The bike is classified as a Class 3, and as you're aware, Class 3 motorbikes, electric bikes, are not allowed in conservation area. However, by town ordinance, law enforcement is exempt from that. It would be a great way to get in tight areas, great way to also engage the public. Hopefully, it's more bike patrols. That way, the large issue is our call volume, right? To get officers on bikes, if we have extra officers, we can do so. However, by having an electric bike, we can easily get quicker back to our cruises to go to the next call. Any questions on the e-bike? Okay. Thirdly, I'm requesting to purchase 45 refurbished iPhones. The phones would be $50 each, would include a case. It's through a third party, so it's not associated with any carrier, which is nice. We've seen recent cases across the U.S. where officers' personal cell phones have been subject to 91A requests. And now with the use of body cameras you're using every day, it's very visible when an officer uses their personal cell phone. We've already had a situation where a 91A request was requested because an officer was texting another officer from a different agency, to the point now that officers aren't using their personal cell phones for business. And as you know, in these days and times, it's critical that we have cell phone usage while we're on the scene to be able to investigate things and also communicate with other areas, other departments, other agencies. My biggest concern is, like I said, we all familiar with the case down in Massachusetts. I'm sure everyone has seen those news reports where some horrible things were said in a text message that became public. I don't think any of our officers would do so. However, I never want them to be put in a situation where they have to give up their personal phone. Now it's subject to examination by defense or another party.
We had to give up ours for 91A. It's
Yeah.
no big deal. But anyhow,
I just chime in here. I support the chief on this. I know that my previous agency, the Sheriff's Department, did a similar thing with as many, if not more, phones for their staff because of that. And the evidence that law enforcement's encountering now is digital. A lot of it's digital, and they use their phones for a variety of things. And it is discoverable, and you know, they should have their own phones for their own private communications and phones for work. So I support that.
No, that's gonna, I'm sorry, Jen, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go.
I was just going to ask, who is paying for the service?
That's right.
You'll have the phones, but do you have that in the budget? How would the
Currently, it would be
service-
passed on through personnel savings. However, they are giving the FirstNet, AT&T FirstNet is giving us at a rate for $15 per phone, which is very reasonable.
That was my question, Jen. So you're all set.
Okay, thank you.
all right, Chief.
And finally, the last request would be to purchase 6 Yankee Hill suppressor for rifles for the Special New Hampshire, Southern New Hampshire Special Operations Unit team utilize. Currently, I think we came before the council to purchase suppressors for all of our patrol vehicles through Abbey money as well. And our SWAT, basically our SWAT team operators do not have that on their rifles, and those are owned by the town as well. So I'm just asking you to outfit them with suppressors as well to prevent hearing loss and any concussions when in confined spaces. And the total cost for that is $27.60 for 6 of them.
Yep, for a total of $12,007.99
From our side, yeah, correct.
for your portion, yeah. Okay,
So the 23,703 is split down the middle.
The total.
The total is split down the middle. So, Paul, what's police's allotment of Gabby?
I think the fire department got 1 more cent.
$1. 50 cents more.
Yep.
It was their turn this year.
Okay, so the fire is asking what? Because I'm looking at something different.
13,950.
13,957.
But Abby's, because what's going on is when they put these requests together, we haven't gone out to competitive bid yet on a lot of these items, like the trek bike or the rope or rigging and things of that
So
sort.
this is an
So this is, they went out and said, okay, this is where we're at, knowing full well that when we go out to bid, we'll get a better price than
Okay.
what the list price is off the shelf. And you get the number yet, Paul?
Yes, so the police is 11,851.50.
So 851, 11,851 is police. So the motion would be to approve these purchases in the, up to the amount of $11,851.
Separate these in half.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure. Andy?
Like to make a motion to accept and expend funds from.
Sorry, it's a public hearing.
That's right.
Sorry, I didn't,
My fault. All right, if anybody would like to address the council on this, I'm going to open the public hearing at 7:48. You could
Yes.
step to the mic here.
The crowd just
No one
runs
coming
right in.
forward, then I will close the public hearing at 7:49. Andy, what's the pleasure?
Make a motion to accept and expend funds from Abby Griffin Memorial Fund in the amount of $11,851 for the purchase of two flyaway more drones, Trek Service electric bike, and 45 refurbished iPhones, and 6 Yankee Hill fire suppressors, and authorize town manager to sign any and all necessary documentation.
Motion by Andy,
Second.
seconded by Jennifer.
and just one little other thing, pursuant to RSA 3195B and Charter Article 815.
Friendly amendment accepted.
Thank you.
And
Second.
Second. Thank you. Thanks, Paul. Any further discussion? Call the question. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstained? It's 6-0-0.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Matt. And the last half of the Abbey Griffin Fund, I'll let the chief speak to his items instead of, as I've done in the past, I've read the items and then we got it all over again, so.
Thank you
Good
all.
evening.
No, and I brought some images which you have, but also I like to try to share with the public. Because when we talk about these things, they don't have a concept.
rescue
Some
stuff.
help is on its way.
Here we go.
Oh.
It's been a long day. I apologize. Let's see. All right, so before you, you have our list of equipment that we're looking to purchase, which is pretty much confined space rescue rigging equipment. In doing our research, the current rescue rigging equipment that we have now is over 20 years old. So obviously, it's been a long time since we were able to improve this particular piece of equipment, and like Chief Levesque said, the opportunity to have Abbey Griffin funds to do this is just truly, truly invaluable to have. So I'm very honored to be able to have those funds available to us. So the biggest ticket item for this is the whole kit itself, which includes rope gear bags, rope, all of the other necessary pieces, parts, and items to make a rope rescue rigging equipment situation occur. The other items on the list include some pulley systems, harness systems, and then at the end, when you put the whole system together, this is what you end up with. The true idea for this system is for those people that might be trapped below grade, so a confined space, and you might not think about it, but some of the tanks that are at Anheuser-Busch, they have to clean those, so they have to send people in, and occasionally, if they have a medical issue or something happens, now they're gonna be calling us to help them get them out of that predicament that they're in. So having this equipment is certainly invaluable for us to have. So, total cost for us, like the town manager described, again, we can only go by list price, which we know we will do better in the marketplace when we go out to bid for these things. But the total list price was $13,957. We understand we only have about $11,800 some odd dollars to spend on this equipment. Whatever the remaining is that we need to come up with, which would probably just be a few $100s, we will be able to grab from our budget. So, and I will entertain any questions that anybody has.
Peter?
Chief, now, all your staff will be trained in the use of this equipment?
Yes.
Okay. And it's pretty much you have one instructor self-taught?
Yes. Well, we do have a few people that are what we call level 3 high rope rescue technicians that have the ability to do the training for us and educate all of our staff on how all of these components work, so that we're properly trained and ready to go should a situation occur.
Thanks for the visual aids, by the way, because sometimes you guys talk about your equipment, and I have no clue, and I think a lot of people at home are kind of like, what's he talking about? So this is helpful.
Yeah, no, again, I think I learned a long time ago, picture's worth 1,000 words. So while I can speak about it and talk on it for days, picture means everything, so I try my best.
Thank you.
Perfect. All right, this is a public hearing, as I was reminded earlier, and so I'll open that public hearing at 7:53. If you would like to address the council, feel free to step to the mic. Seeing no one coming forward, I'll close the hearing at 7:54. And what is the pleasure of the council?
Go for it, Andy.
Make a motion?
Andy?
I move to accept and expend funds from the Abbey Griffin Memorial Fund in the amount of $11,852 for the Merrimack Fire Department for 4 Capto pulley systems, 2 ATOM global harnesses pursuant to RSA 31:95-B and Charter Article 8-15, and authorize town manager to sign any and all necessary documentation.
Motion by Andy,
Second.
second by Jennifer. Is there any further discussion? I'll call the question on the vote. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstained? I'll go 6-0 in favor, and also announce that Nancy Murphy just showed up at 7:55.
My apologies.
No, not at
We're in
all.
late.
Not at all.
Council, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Good night.
The next public hearing we have is to consider the recommended changes to Chapter 178, Taxation, Article 2 of the Elderly Tax Exemption for the Merrimack Town Code pursuant to Charter Article 5. Paul, do you want to speak to that?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll make this rather quick. We've been looking at the tax exemptions for the elderly, and we have a Chapter 178 taxation in the town ordinances, and this is the public hearing for that. When we looked at the elderly exemptions, there are 3 components that make up the elderly exemption. The first component is income, and I'm recommending no change to income. Single is 45, married is $60,000 income limits. The second component is assets excluding the value of one person's, of the person's residence, which is $200,000. I'm not making any recommendation to change that. Where I'm making the recommendation to change is the exemption amount itself. For persons age 65 up to age 75, I'm asking to go from 85,000 to 115,000. For a person 75 to up to age 80, from 115 to 155,000. And then for a person over age 80, going from 150 to $195,000. Use these numbers, ran some quick calculations. It appears that all three groups will get about the same relief in their taxes of about $700-ish off their tax bill for this. And it would because this is all based on valuation. That's a reduction in valuation. It would be about 1 cent to the community for these increases.
Paul? Does anybody have any questions of Paul? This is our second public hearing, and I will open the hearing at 7:57. If you would like to address this, you could sit at the table here, or whichever you're more comfortable with.
And please state your name and address for the record. Our minute taker listens, and thank you.
Hold on till it's bright green.
Got it.
Now
Okay.
say it again.
My name is Jane Schofield, and I reside at 5 Gilbert Road at the Gilbert Crossing Apartments here in Merrimack. I also have been in this town for many, many years. I do accounting work and bookkeeping for small businesses, and I also do taxes for elderly people. And the reason why I'm here tonight is I was very happy to see this new exemption increase. And it has been, I have noticed what happened was back in 2021, a lot of the homes were revalued, and most of them were doubled. They went up 50%. Now with the exemptions, they didn't. And this severely has hurt the elderly people, because then their taxes went from $863 up to $1,616. They just doubled. And then their whole year was $2,500. I appreciate the increase in the exemption, but I would like to see it if it could go up to 125. If you increase the value of the property 50%, I would like to see the exemption sort of follow suit with up to approximately 45%. I mean, I just feel that the elderly are really, really suffering these days, and it's very hard for them to come up with the extra money, and they want to stay in their homes, and some of them can't because they cannot afford these taxes. And even if the proposal went from up to 125 from the 115, like a normal, like a condo valued at $200,000, that proposal would save them another $300, $200 to $250. But even that, their taxes for the year would be $1,900. And for someone that maybe has $1,800 a month coming in, and to pay for all their living expenses, it's very difficult. But I really appreciate all the different exemption increases. I think it's fine, but I would like to see it go up a little more, just a little more, because let me tell you, $200 would mean the most to some people. And I don't, how many people, the elderly, take the elderly exemption? Do you know?
You
Like
did.
the
Yeah, you
percentage
did have
in
that.
town?
It's in one of my memos, I believe, 179 people. And the largest group is the over 80.
How much over 80?
That's the largest group, is the people over 80.
Over 80?
98 over 80, it says.
Yeah, 98 over 80 there is. 47 from 65 to 74, 75 to 79 is 34, and over 80 is 98 people.
Oh, okay.
98 homes, not people, homes.
Paul, when was the last time we adjusted this?
Back in 2022, right after we did the valuation in
Yeah.
2021. The other thing, the reason why I went to the numbers I went with is in 2026, we're going to do a revaluation
right.
again.
Right.
This is try to
That's right,
help
you
people out
mentioned
for
that.
this year, because when we do the revaluation in 2026, we're going to have to adjust
do it
this
again.
again.
Jane and I talked about it Tuesday, I think.
Yeah, voting.
And I thought we had done it more recently.
2022.
Yeah,
was the last
22, it did go up.
Yeah,
Yeah, it increased only $10,000. That was a 13% increase. It's just very hard when the valuation of your property goes up 50%, but then the exemption doesn't really follow it. And it puts the elderly back into more, the debt they were in before, really higher taxes. So, but thank you anyway very much for your increase and.
Go ahead.
did you have?
Jane, so you're proposing the $10,000 bump for all three age brackets, correct? Is that what
It
you're
would be
saying?
nice, yes.
Okay.
And I don't think it would really affect the income for the town of Merrimack, but just having a $200 more for the elderly would be really appreciated.
Okay. Paul, what would be that impact? Or do you need some time to figure that out?
The issue is that, sorry, the issue is that some of it's not as easy as going, okay, 10,000 times 179. Because when we looked at this, some of these homes actually would get no tax on their property. Some of these residents. So worst case scenario, you can say 179 times 10,000, which is 1,790,000 is a $10,000 increase if everybody got it. It's 4 zeros. So yeah, $1,790,000. It's been a long time since I did accounting work, Peter.
Well, you notice we haven't even tried.
Public math.
So yeah, it would be about say $1.7 million increase, which is,
No, if, you're talking $10,000?
yeah, there's 4 zeros.
Yeah, it's 79, would be 790,000. Not 1 million, 790,000.
I'm not
No.
even trying.
1,000,007, it's 4 zeros. 10,000 is 4 zeros.
Yeah, but it wouldn't be
You
1
add-
million, 7. It would
Yeah,
just
you
be
have to add 4 zeros to 179, it's 1,790,000.
It's 179, not 79.
Oh,
170.
170. Oh, I'm
Yeah,
sorry. I thought
yeah.
you said 79.
Oh. Yeah, it's
Okay.
179, 1,000,007. Right, 4 zeros, Paul?
Yep, that's
One-
correct.
1.7?
1.79.
Yep, thank you.
So you're saying that amount would be transferred to the rest of the
The rest of the
population?
town, probably going from an extra penny went on the value on everybody. Because it was between 1 and 2 cents, so
Penny per thousand.
per thousand.
I just think the offset from all the new apartments in town and all the money coming in, the real estate tax money coming in from these new developments should surely help the town, and I don't think where it would really matter for the, for the elderly.
All right. Well, I appreciate it. We're going to be having the conversation shortly. You heard
Okay.
the earlier conversation
Yeah.
tonight, and that was a painful conversation. But,
Mhm.
but so
Okay.
I appreciate your input.
Okay, thank you
Thanks,
very
Jane.
much.
Anybody else on there? Oh, someone else.
Good evening.
Good evening. I'm Barbara McCormick, 43 Island Drive. I'm here tonight to address the elderly tax exemption also. Most of our senior citizens are a member of the silent generation or baby boomers. I believe that some of these rules should be changed. I'm glad that the 85,000 tax exemption will be going up. I'd like to know how that's calculated and how long it's been in effect for. I'd like to see it calculated by using the square footage of your house. It's the same with the $200,000 total assets. Right now, the average value of a home in Merrimack is around $492,537. So I would rather see a percentage of that instead of a whole figure of like 115,000 coming off. So if you're talking about average cost of a home of 492,000 at my age, I'm in that 65 to 74. $115,000 off that is like nothing. Some seniors never had the opportunity to have access to opening an IRA or a 401k, and so they don't have money in savings accounts. We're depending on putting money aside for the future. Unfortunately, we're not given an expiration date of when we're going to pass, so you don't know how much you're going to have to save. I paid the mortgage on my mother's house, and I'm still living there. I had to purchase it from my siblings. I've been in Merrimack for 50 years. I moved here in 1972 when there was only one stoplight in the whole town. Mm-hmm. I do believe progress is good for the town, but it's been becoming very overwhelming. We were promised tax breaks ever since Anheuser-Busch came into town. Haven't seen it. Now we have BAE, Albert, Fidelity Investments, the outlet malls, and the taxes are still increasing. We all know that retirement is in our future, and I hope everyone is lucky enough to reach it and be prepared for it. I've been working since I was 16 years old, and I had to pay room and board to my parents. Unfortunately, my father passed away at 65. My mother passed away at 64. I'm 71, so actually I am trying to enjoy my golden years. I always thought I had made a good living. I had a roof over my head, food over the table, and I lived a comfortable life with not too much stress on paying the bills. But it seems to me that the middle class of this nation is slowly disappearing. It's getting harder and harder to make ends meet, especially with the rising cost of property taxes, which a great deal goes towards the education of our youth. My husband and I have never had any children in the school system, but have paid into it for many, many years. My husband still works part-time to supplement our income. Unfortunately, at this time, he hasn't been able to work because he is home recovering from open heart surgery. And that's another thing. Those bills haven't come in yet, so I can't even imagine what that's going to be. Most seniors are on Social Security alone and don't have any pensions, an IRA or 401k. We're responsible for paying for health insurance, dental insurance, cable, satellite, utilities. I think once a person reaches 70 that they should be exempt from the portion of the school tax, or even just a percentage of the school tax, like cut that in half. Instead of the school tax being 74%, maybe cut it down to 37% for the property tax. It seems that the schools get everything that they want and not actually what they would need. I'd rather see our tax dollars going more towards the police and the fire department. And that's why I think the voters voted down the increase for the town budget as well as for the fire department. People that are on welfare sometimes get free cell phones, EBT cards. Seniors, not so much. I have a friend that applied for an EBT card. She was accepted. She has a monthly allowance of $23, and another friend, $12. I can see why Merrimack wants to build senior housing in our community because you seem to be forcing seniors out of their homes and have to live in senior housing. We are penalized if we have too much money in savings. How much are we to save for retirement? According to the MIT wage calculator, a single adult with no children in New Hampshire needs to make about $49,000 for a living wage. In Medicare, you only earn probably about $104,000. In 2025, 2 adults, 1 working, would have to make around $35.19 an hour. So I'd like to know what steps need to be taken to amend the law, and does an warrant article need to be presented to the town council? I've sent emails to our state representatives, congressmen, senators, and even the governor. I did get an answer for Jean Shaheen's office and Governor Ayott's office. They told me that I have to start at the town level and go from there. I know that there are many other things on the agenda, but it seems that seniors take a back seat to everything else. We're a proud generation and we like to pull our own weight, but instead I feel like we are animals let out to pasture. I just had one other thing to say is, why is it that one mother can raise 5 children, but 5 children cannot take care of one mother? Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. McCormick. I think some of the things that Ms. McCormick spoke about do have to happen at the state. In order to give a broader exemption, to give a break on school taxes, anything like that, it has to come from the state. It can't happen here. I've been a firm believer for a long time that if you've been in town for 40 years or a number, have not put that much deep thought into it, you should probably be exempt from a large percentage of your taxes just because of longevity. But we don't do that at this level. That has to be at the state level. Nancy, I'm sorry.
Yes, thank you for your remarks, and I agree with a lot of what you said. And I absolutely agree. The challenge that we find ourselves in, actually that's why I was late, because we were working on the budget, voting on the state budget today in the House. The challenge is, and I get our frustration. I'm a senior citizen myself. My husband's trying to retire. He's almost 70 years old. We get the tax bill, and on the tax bill, it comes from the town, and usually you have the little part in the bottom. It shows the school portion. It shows you the town portion. Having been part of the town council since 2021, I think, we work really hard to just come out with a really tight budget. It's not a lot of wants. It's really what we need. And that's what goes to the voters. The challenge for all of us, and my frustration, is at the state level. And I know I did respond to Mrs. McCormick's email, and that's where my frustration is. And I think I would love to see this kind of input coming to the State House and saying, you've got to stop this. We don't have a broad-based sales or income tax, so we don't have money, coming from that. Nobody wants that. So okay, but so what do we have left for revenue? How is the state going to pay its bills? So what happens is tax breaks are given to corporations. We're paying school for education funding accounts, for school vouchers, for our tax dollars that are going to private and religious schools to educate students there. And that just passed in the budget with no cap. And so where's the money coming? So what happens is all of the things that the state needs to pay for get downshifted to the town. So then we get basically the bills of the state. And who pays those? We do as taxpayers. So I'm saying honestly, this town could not buy a pencil, and your taxes are still going to go up. So we hear the frustration, and I think we all feel the same way. If there's anything we can do, we try to do it. But when we're getting messaging too from townspeople, default budgets, everybody's saying that we just don't have any more money. And we get it. So it's that balancing act, trying to do the right thing, trying to, and I said at a prior meeting, our senior citizens, the earning potential when you're older. I know my body's not like it used to be. I can't work like I used to. So, I think we've taken that into consideration, and I appreciate you all coming to express your frustration and concern, and I think we share it. And it's just, we have to have that same level of concern addressed at the state level. So I say to everybody, reach out to your state representatives, reach out to your senator and say, we can't tolerate any more of this, and start making sure that the budget that the town's going to get from the downshifting of costs is reasonable, because otherwise it's coming to you. And so, anyway, that's my point, but thank you again for taking the time to come and weigh in tonight.
Phil? Paul, Barbara mentioned the valuation of,
I'm just thinking, because it's a public hearing,
Yeah.
let me see if there's anybody.
Yeah.
further.
oh, okay, absolutely, sorry, no.
We'll leave it.
Look ahead, and then we'll come back.
Do you want to answer Mrs. McCormick's question? Because
Yes.
we're tied by RSA 72. I had it a second ago. 72:39 dash A and B, which the state gives guidelines for the elderly exemption. And they give dollar limits and things of that sort for the elderly exemption. So we're tied into that guideline.
There is someone else who wants to.
I just want to know.
Ms. McCormick, if you'd like, please, you have to step to the mic so that they can get
And
your
there's,
commentary.
and there's more too.
And-
Yeah.
and
I'd just like to know how that figure is calculated, like the $115,000. How is that calculated?
It's calculated based on assessed value to help offset the taxes for assessed value. And that's a range that you're allowed in the state of New Hampshire through that RSA. And what we tried to do, what I tried to do, was try to get us right in the middle of that range, knowing full well that I would have to come back next year and probably raise that again once the values go up in this town. So I
Okay.
tried to get, be right in the middle of the range. I looked at 5 communities, and 3 are above us and 3 are below us. And I tried to make it as fair as possible. I talked to the our contract assessor, and she actually looked at it and said, yep, those are reasonable. Those are pretty much higher than any community that she has in the state for a town that she had. For the
I'd like to know who I could talk to up in the state department. Or like,
That-
can I go to some type of a meeting
that
and
would
express my frustration on?
I would say our 8 representatives. I would ask for a meeting with either all 8 representatives or at once. And the names are on the website, our website.
Yes, I've written emails to each and every one.
I would ask them for a meeting to discuss this. And I know 3 or 4 of them would be more than happy to sit down and meet with you if you ask for the meeting.
Okay, thank you very much.
Welcome.
Thank you. Paul?
I am Bob Bergen, 1 Holly Lane. I've lived in Merrimack 50 years. My wife died in 2013. I began to discover what copay is. Not something my financial consultant ever used, but copay is $50, $60, $100,000, depending upon what hospital your loved one is in. I heard some numbers. I'm very curious. When I was 70, I was turned down. When I got to be 74, I was eligible. And I've been eligible since I was 74. I'm now 79. I've never been eligible for SNAP. I've never been eligible for anything else. But you rambled some numbers about the percentile, the breakdown at 75. Are there people applying for the elderly exemption at 62? Because the town of Merrimack recognizes the elderly at 55. So I'm like, I thought there was a date or age that you had to be, and then you broke it down. You said the over 80 crowd was what percentage?
98 out of 179.
98?
Out of 179.
Okay, 179. And then the 75 and over?
75 was 34. 75 to 79 was 34 out of 179. and 65 to 74. 65 is the minimum age, 47 out of 179. So,
Okay. Do you think that there are people who are afraid to apply?
no,
I mean, the
I
people-
don't know the answer, to be honest with you.
The people over 80 should know that that's the greatest majority of people receiving the abatement. I won't be over 80 till next year, but I realized I wasn't getting it until I turned 74. I don't know whether it was, all of a sudden, that was the magic number. It's just interesting, you had those statistics, and I wanted to ask you that, but can someone apply if this is the year of their 65th birthday? Or do you have to apply after you become 65?
April 15th, I think, is the deadline date.
Okay.
You have to be by April 15th.
Do you keep data on how many people apply that are not talked to after they were declined?
Honestly, we send out, anybody who wants an application, we'll send it to them. And even if they're declined, if they want the application, we'll send it to them. I do not have the data on the top of my head.
Yeah, just being an elderly, I mean, when you're my age, you really feel elderly. I think it's a good program. And I think, Paul, I just think you're an honest gentleman and a gentleman first. But your own mother is a senior. And I recognize you can understand this. It's not a matter of the members of the board being seniors, Nancy, or both Nancys.
Except me.
But I just was curious because I talk to a lot of widows in the work that I do in the community, and some of them are afraid to apply. And yet, it does make some sense. But on the other side of the coin, I've discovered that there's a lot of confusion as to what the purpose of the elderly exemption is, considering that the elderly exemption is abused by our planning board and our zoning board and other different committees. You can be 55 and have an elderly exemption because you can move into this housing that's going to be developed. I think that's where a lot of the confusion lies, and I think that this is a mandated procedure that starts at 65. I think if people knew that, it would be better understood. It's not an award. It's an amount of money that comes off your tax bill after many, many years of having. Do you get the abatement, Nancy? You're nodding your head.
No, I do not get the abatement. I'm too young.
You're too young, yeah, right.
I lied too.
You and I are neighbors, honey. No, I just think the only reason I came tonight was because I think there is a lot of confusion as to who can get what abatements and what energies and what. I transport a lot of people, and it's not everybody can use Nashua Transit, but it is a useful tool. The seniors need these tools, but at what expense do the tools come out? So I thought I would just share with you. I thought it was interesting that you had the statistics. The majority of the people are really over 80. So that's a good answer. Thank you.
Hey, Bob, do you have a recommendation on how we can better educate the elderly to apply for this exemption? If you're thinking that there's a population that isn't.
I think there's a significant population who haven't a clue what potential things the town could offer them. I usually end up in these conversations when the husband dies, or if the husband goes into a nursing home for Alzheimer's. That's my expertise area. And I think that they don't know where they can get help. They don't know who to pick up the phone to call. And it becomes a complex time for them. As this one lady pointed out, if you could save $1,200 to $1,500 a year on taxes, that's a place to start. It doesn't always work there. I've also met people, believe it or not, Andy, who the husband was an Air Force veteran, and they didn't apply for the $500 abatement for that. And now the wife is the widow. And I think,
Yes.
I went directly to you. We had the lady who had her ID card taken from her. Her husband was buried in his uniform. And, she needed help on an odd way. But she couldn't get the service abatement, even though I believe she eventually got it. But there's just some people that they're struggling with what crisis death brings them. And for many of them, the widows are the ones that I think need to be given a little more publicity or a little more information. Maybe I'm looking at your name tags, and Jennifer's is bold print, and these two are fine print. Maybe we could do a little more bold printing for the seniors, just so we can see the exact information that they need. We're all gonna be seniors someday. Some of us are already there. I can tell you, I never thought copay was gonna be my biggest enemy. You know, and the bills, after Gail died, I was like amazed. Copays from Brigham and Women's, copays from Dartmouth, copays from, and they weren't small figured copays. And, you know, you do what you gotta do, so.
Thanks, Will.
Thank you.
Anyway,
There might
thank you.
be, we might contemplate those kind of things at our goals meeting, but it,
Yeah, communication.
right out of the gate, I contemplate the
Yeah,
adult
we have
community
to
center.
expand on that next year.
Yeah.
We started it, we should expand upon it.
See, the representative for the Adult Community Center should have a discussion about how they can enhance communication. Yes.
I thought you were looking at Mackenzie. Well, no,
No, I
she
was
shoved it
looking
off
at
on me. Ms. McCormick, did you want to speak again?
I would like to invite anyone that would like to come to the senior center on Mondays. I know that your dad goes.
He does.
He sits at our table. So if we could have someone from the town council come some Monday and explain what is available, what the town has to offer, not only for tax exemption, but Paul
For the
had also
veterans.
told me that the welfare area is another place. I don't know exactly what they offer, but that could be another
Veterans,
thing.
that's. could
The
be-
veterans, we actually have people in Merrimack, if they can't pay their hospital bills, or we have, Abby Griffin has a fund set up for that too. So there's a lot to offer to
And we could
seniors.
have the welfare person actually talk with them too.
Yep, and, yeah, we do the fair, the senior fair, where we bring in resources as well. So there are several things that we can do, and who is the president now? Is it Lorraine?
Lorraine.
Is it still Lorraine?
Lorraine Lasardi.
I'll get in touch with Lorraine
Okay.
and have her put me on an agenda.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'll get in touch with Lorraine, get on the agenda.
Yes, you may.
You said
Jane
that
Schofield.
the value of, the value of the buildings were like, 1,790,000.
No, what I said was that the extra $10,000 for everybody would be $1.7 million.
Yeah, and if we multiply that by, I'm just rounding to like $20 for the tax rate, that would be $35,800.
I'll take your,
And divided by 179 people would be just $200 a year, you know, for each elderly person. And I mean, you know, just raising it up that $10,000, $200 would mean a lot to them. That's all I'm asking. I know there's a lot to be done for the elderly. The only reason I help the elderly for the elderly exemption is because I do their taxes. I know how old they are. I know where they are. And anyone that I could see that could qualify for, I would have them submit their paperwork. But it's tough. I also ask the same question. How many people know about this? You know, unless somebody, you know, they really don't. I don't know how you can even advise them.
Can't do it through social media, I can assure you that.
I know.
So I think those comments about that were well taken, I sense. My dad would love for me to go to the Adult Community Center on Mondays. He always reminds me. And he made me join because I am eligible to join, so I paid the money. And
I mean,
I
we could
think
go
I'm gonna.
through different programs like Meals on Wheels.
I was just
We
talking to
could-
Joe about yoga. So, chair yoga. Jay, I'm sorry, Jay, yes, wonderful man. But we're going to be talking about that, I'm sure, and we'll try and figure out what we can do to make those arrangements and impact that population directly.
Paul, if you would like to talk to me sometime, I would be more than happy.
if you want to come in, my door's always open to any
All right.
resident or anybody.
You know, I'd love
It's
to
always
work out
open.
numbers and
Yep.
help things out.
Yep.
All right,
Thanks,
thank you.
Jim. Is there anybody further who would like to address the council? Seeing none, I'll. About this public hearing, yep. Yeah, no, there's comment at the end of the meeting. Then I'll close the public hearing at 8:30. Peter, you had something?
Well, Barbara brought up the formula for evaluating property, and she mentioned, I believe she talked about square footage or something, and I thought to myself, like, that takes we have a revaluation process, right? So we'd be talking about trying to change that process, and is that something that has to be done through the law, is my question, to kind of help her out on her suggestion.
The RSA 79 actually lays out how to give an exemption. And it says it's a dollar amount off the assessed value of your home.
72.
7239, right?
Right.
7239. And it talks about how to give an that comes off the assessment. So it's in the law, so if they wanted to change the way that we calculate that, it would be part of the law. It would have to be changed in the law.
Okay, and all set, Peter?
Yes,
Thank
thanks.
you. Did somebody else, Andy? I can't remember. You were all good? All right. 72:39.
72:39-A and B.
Andy?
I don't know how the rest of the council feels. Looking at the recommendation, where would it put us? 65 to 74 would put us the second from the largest exemption, behind Londonderry. That is the second to the smallest group of people that currently are eligible. The next group, 75 to 79, would put us third within the surrounding communities. And then the largest group, 80 plus, it would put us exactly where we're currently recommending, which is still fourth around largest communities.
And the reason why sorry, Councilor Hunter, I don't mean to interrupt, but the reason why Londonderry is the highest is they just went through a revaluation and they changed their
Sure.
ordinance with their revaluation.
Yeah. And that plays into it, right? What
Mhm.
what is our valuation compared to other towns? Even though we may fall behind another town, the actual percentage of exemption may be greater than the town that we're behind, because valuation plays into it. It's a struggle, right? If you ask me, would I give the elderly exemption? I'd say I'd give you 100%. But I know by making that decision, there's some young couple living in an apartment that's trying to buy their first house, and I'm taking that burden and I'm putting it on that young couple who's can't afford their first house anyways. And my son's living that right now, living with us because he can't afford his first house. So it's a tough decision. You're impacting somebody no matter which way you go. So with that,
Aren't you glad you're leaving?
yeah, I am. You guys got a tough decision, and I'm not sad that this is my last council meeting because this is a tough one. You negatively impact somebody no matter which way you go.
Peter?
So, kind of addressing Jane's proposal of upping everything $10,000. My only concern about that is we potentially make this change this year, do this in the next month or something, and to the current rates, and then there's a revaluation this year. So then the price, then we're going up. So we're potentially revisiting it again. So
Which is what his point is.
yeah, and that's the only concern with that bump right now for me is, and impacting. So that's it. I mean, because I'm in favor of the current numbers. I'm hesitant on her recommendation of the increased number right now because of the revaluation, and that we're going to revisit this on a revaluation. So but I'm in favor of the current numbers as proposed here in this packet.
Jennifer?
So in the first meeting that we had and discussed this, I had written down some numbers that I wanted to propose. They were almost exactly what Paul is proposing now. So I feel this is fair. I'm not necessarily opposed to going up a little bit, but I do think that puts us in a good amount. We are we are the highest on the assets, for sure, out of all the towns. So there is kind of some balancing there.
And valuation, as Eddie had, put on the table, is very accurate assessment. Looking at that, it's hard to compare other communities without digging even deeper, but, so, then what is the pleasure of the council?
Nobody wants to make a decision.
Peter?
I move, I guess, we have one more hearing we have to go through for this, or? is
It's
it-
a final read. The motion would be to move the numbers as presented to the final reading on March 8th,
I know.
May 8th. I want to go back. Do it all over
Do it all
again.
over again.
May 8th, under the consent agenda, and these exemptions will be retro back to April 1st.
So, I guess I'd make a motion then that we move to the final reading, the current numbers as proposed here by the town manager, under this elderly exemption today.
Move to the consent agenda. These exemptions are retroactive back to April 1st.
Yes.
Friendly
Yes.
amendment?
So moved?
Second.
And that's May 8th.
May 8th. Do I keep saying March?
No, you did the first time, but not the second time. Motion by Peter, second by Nancy Murphy.
The only comment I'd like to make before we vote is I'm going to vote on that, but I also want to make it clear that when the reevaluation comes, we revisit this right away.
We will. We know that this time through.
Okay.
All right, if there's no further discussion, call the question. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? 7-0-0. Thanks for the input. We've definitely heard it, and I appreciate it.
And like I said, if anybody wants to come to my office to talk, I'm more than happy to sit down and talk. If I don't have a meeting, as people will say, I'm always available. And if I'm not, they find me to make me available, my staff. They're pretty good at that.
They are. Bob?
Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. Bob Bergen, 1 Holly Lane. Would you like to announce what those numbers are? Because I don't see it written down anywhere.
Oh, I will do
It wasn't
that.
announced by anyone, and I thought that was a
There, did you get a copy of the,
I have the minutes, but I don't see it in the minutes. So in other words, I was about to
Well,
write it down, I didn't hear anybody say it.
we'll do it again.
65 to 74, going from 85,000 to 115,000. Ready? 75 to 79, going from 115,000 to 155,000. And 80 and up, going from 150 to 195.
Thank you, Paul.
Okay. All right, we'll move along. Updates from our legislative delegation. Paul, you got nothing?
Actually, I've heard from 3 or 4 of our delegates today about the right-to-know bill. That went in front of the House vote, and it's moving on to the Senate. It's very concerning to me and to my department heads because they're going to allow anybody to do a right-to-know request throughout the country or throughout the world, and you can have AI requests. And you have to email it to them and give it to them in the format that they want, which is a lot different than it used to be. So what happens is that in the last 6 weeks, I think I had 8 right-to-know requests. And out of those 8 right-to-know requests, 5 of them were from companies wanting me to do, or my department heads to do their job. Whereas if they were in the area, they could come in and look at the file themselves and get the information they wanted on buildings or permits or things of that sort. So I can just see this being a high cost for us to do.
That type of Well,
House
that's-
Bill 66.
That's probably a discussion that we'll have to see how we will handle that, because I know we have to give them the information. But I don't see us having to put tons of money into doing that for them. They can come, read the
No,
minutes.
not anymore. The
right.
legislation tells them that you got to give it to them the way they want it, whether it's email, mailed mail. It's no longer you got to come and sit down and look in my office.
All right. Go ahead, Peter.
Paul, we dealt with that at the PD. People would come in and make these onerous requests under the right to know, and within reason. And then it became where if you actually had to have somebody specifically spending hours upon hours to do this, that you could increase the bill for doing so. And it's been a while since I've read 91A, but I thought there was some outs to doing this, that it doesn't, regarding onerous requests and stuff like that.
This House Bill 66 takes that all out. And you can't say, come to my office, the files are here. And a couple of years ago, they said if you have the report, you have to produce it. So, and you can't, here's the other kicker, you can't charge them your staff time to find the stuff. You can only charge them staff time, you can't charge them staff time, but you can charge them for copies.
Copies are gonna get really
It's
expensive.
on its way to the Senate, right?
It's on its way to the Senate, so there's a chance in the Senate that they would see the light of day and actually table this or send this committee to talk to. But right now, the bill as written, or amended, I should say, and Councilor Murphy might have more information on it because she was up there.
Can you email us a copy of this new RSA?
Well, it's not an RSA yet.
It's not. I actually sent out the email to the council the other night about House Bill 66. What I can do is I can get you the language of it.
Please, thank you.
Nancy?
I'll just add, excuse me, relative to HB 66, the reason that we voted against it was for all the reasons that Paul suggested, but it replaces in statute the undefined term citizen, which is in current law, and replaces it with the word person, which, to our understanding, would allow anyone to file that right to know request regardless of where they live, and greatly expanding the right to know responsibilities. There was an amendment, 1005H, that removes the sentence allowing citizen-initiated appeals to have no filing fee or surcharge, which would help defray expenses incurred by the right to know ombudsman, and that passed on a voice vote. The concern, Representative Lynn, former Justice Lynn, Bob Lynn, said that we didn't really have anything to worry about, that we could, the town would not have to fulfill those requests for right to know documents in the way that we believe we have to. He said if somebody calls from China and requests whatever, you could say, come to our office, we're open from 8 to 4. But that's not the way most of us were, well, actually, it's our understanding, however, that bill passed, so how that's gonna work out, I mean, it passed the House, so it's still gonna go to the Senate,
Roll call?
and we'll see.
Roll call vote?
It was a roll call vote, yeah. Yep.
And are all 8 legislators supported our concerns?
No. No. It was 207 yes, 164 no on a roll call. All
And-
passed as amended.
6-2. 6 supported us, 2 did not.
I'll get that from you later. Thank you. Nancy, do you have further issues?
Yeah, it was, I'll sort of give you the Reader's Digest version. It was a very long day. We had some regular bills that we addressed. You know, nothing really specific to Merrimack, just a lot of general stuff before we voted on the budget. And of course, as you might imagine, the budget's 100 and something pages. And the budget, I did not support the budget as written. I think there are 90-something additional fees that are to be included now, and there's a lot of cuts to services and supports for citizens that I think should have been included. So I did not vote for the budget, but it passed. You know, we're certainly in the minority, and it will go to the Senate and we'll see what happens. They'll have committees of conference, and, you know, things will be added and taken away, but, you know, I just want to thank all of the people, everybody that worked on that budget, because that is a huge undertaking, and it's not my committee, but, you know, for everybody that worked on it, I thank you. So we'll see, to be decided. And pretty much all of the amendments, I think we had 29 amendments to it, and I think they're all, pretty much all roll call, so it's easy to figure out, you know, to see how people voted on things from cryptocurrency to whatever, you know, everything that impacts our lives.
Thank you. All right. Town manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The 56th Annual Professional Municipal Clerks Week will be May 4th to the 10th this year. Municipal clerks are the backbone of local government, often working behind the scenes and oversee key functions like record keeping, election management, legislation, data, documentation, and maintaining public trust through transparency and accountability. Their dedication is vital to the effective, functioning of our municipality. Please consider taking the time to recognize our Town of Merrimack Town Clerk Office by stopping by during the week of May 4th to May 10th and thanking them for everything that they do. And at the last council meeting, we talked about the personnel policy, and there was a question related to Section 7-9 of the town charter and the non-interference with town administration. I'm just going to read what my attorney wrote to me. As you are aware, Section 7-9 similarly states that members of the town council, when acting individually instead of as a body, are not permitted to direct town employees, otherwise interfere with the work of town employees, or take official action with regard to town employees' pay or benefits. We understand that the town council may be concerned with the change in the handbook may result in more employees approaching them individually and directly with concerns regarding employees' employment. If that occurs, we recommend the councils to direct them to their concerns to run them through the chain of command in their department up to the town manager, depending on the concern or the nature. If an employee is raising a concern about the town manager, the council should inform the employee that the chair of the town council will be notified so that employees can bring their concerns either in a non-public or a public meeting to the council to discuss. So basically, you still have the same hands-off approach, but if they approach you, you have did you run this already up through the chain of command? And then you can say, if it's something that is of bigger concern, you can always say, go and get, we put it on an agenda and we'll talk it as a full council. If it's a concern that should be brought forward. No, that's only if they have a concern about me as an employee. If it's a concern about the color of the paint of this room, they can come to a council meeting to discuss that with the council in an open meeting.
If it's about the concern of their department manager.
They have to bring that to me. You tell them that they have to come to me. If it's a department manager, I manage all the employees and all the department heads, so it has to come to me first.
Okay. Yep, very good.
Okay, so it's a clarification. The reason why we had to make the change is because by law, you cannot tell an employee resident what they can and cannot say. You can't define their speech for them or sanction their speech. But what you can do is you can push them through the proper channels. Sharon left. I was going to ask Sharon. She worked on there she is.
There.
Anna Cole, the lawyer's talking about sanctioning speech.
Yes.
Yeah, so.
We cannot control employees' speech in regard to speaking on public interest.
She's on.
It is on, I guess I'm not close enough. Yeah, so they can still speak to you. But the action that's taken is usually referred to the chain of command or the town manager. Unless the issue is with Paul, and then
Then it goes to the council chair.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Thanks, Sharon.
So that's clarification.
Thank you.
I know council asked for that last meeting. It's clarification, and if there's anything else you need,
And
just let
how
me
is
know.
it the same or different?
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm. Thank you, that's all.
Good, thanks, Paul. Move on to the consent agenda. The council is to affirm the satisfactory annual evaluation of the town manager, which we had a couple weeks ago now. We had the discussion, and we think Paul's doing a fine job, an exceptional job.
And his evaluation reflected that.
Yes. Somebody would like to move the consent agenda?
So moved.
Motion by Nancy Harrington.
Second.
Second by Nancy Murphy. All those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Something going on over there. Opposed or abstained, 700. And thank you, Paul. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much. I appreciate working, and I really enjoy working for the town of Merrimack. Been here 49 years this July, so it's been a while.
It's amazing you're only 52.
Exactly. I moved when I was a little baby.
Well, very good. All right, we have no old business. Under new business, council has considered the request to withdraw and expend up to, oh, no, this,
We need a motion to table
to
that,
table
please.
this one, yes.
Motion to table, should I read it? Or just say the number one item under new business?
Motion, to make it clear in the minutes.
I'll read it
Read
out.
it.
I'd like to table the agenda item withdrawal request from Road Infrastructure Capital Reserve Fund, Nutmeg Lane Drainage and Road Reconstruction Project to a date,
We'll bring it back when we
just tabled.
tabled.
Second.
Motion by Nancy Harrington, seconded by Andy. All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained? We're good, Mackenzie? Yeah, I'm good. 700. Just wasn't sure, sorry.
Looks like Mackenzie had a long day.
So, all right. Item number 2, under new business, council consider the request to withdraw and expend up to $750,000 from the Road Infrastructure Capital Reserve Fund for the drainage installation and road reconstruction project at Hartwood and Woodland. Good evening, Don.
Hi,
Sorry to keep you waiting.
no problem. So this is actually one of Leo's projects. However, he's at an awards meeting tonight. So the American Council of Engineering for the New Hampshire version is having their Engineering Excellence Award banquet. The engineer that did our design plans for the trail, hopefully our trail will get an award tonight. So Leo went tonight to be able to see whether or not we've got an award for that. Or they got the award for it, I should say.
I gotta talk to Dawn Moore. She should be going to those things and have Leo present.
Oh, right, that's the goodness. She's too kind.
Yeah, well, be easy with me. This is his project, so I will do my best.
Perfect.
Anyway, my notes. So we're here tonight for Hartwood. If you remember a few years ago, we've been saving for years. Every 2 years, we go ahead and do another part of this project. This entire subdivision here was actually created back a number of years ago. When they did that, there were not any controls, so to speak. Nobody went out and inspected the roads like we do today and that type of thing. It was more casual. There was no drainage that was installed because it's all built in sand, so they didn't feel they needed to be able to put that. This whole area is fairly flat, and we've ended up finding we need to be able to put the drainage in. A couple of years ago, we came and did Fernwood and Timber. Those were our first 2 that we did along this area, which were up in here. Tonight, we're here for Hartwood and for the section of woodland that goes from Timber up to Forest, because that had never been done. So we're here to ask for the $750,000 withdrawal from the Capital Reserve Fund, the Road Infrastructure Capital Reserve, because we've been saving for this project, and we would like to continue this project to be able to help the residents in that area, because they have a real bad drainage problem up through there, and they will reconstruct the roads as we get through, so. That is our request.
And if, for those that were not on the council 3 or 4 years ago, the citizens in this area put together a petition bond. Actually, what was it, 2020? It's before Dawn became DPW director. So they put together a petition bond, and at that time, the council kind of said, we will get this done over a number of years, and we will do it. Like Dawn said, this is the second phase of this project to help get it done, so.
Yeah.
Does anybody have anything? I'll accept the motion if somebody's so inclined.
I'll make a
Johnson?
motion. Make a motion to authorize the withdrawal and expenditure of up to $750,000 from the Road Infrastructure Capital Reserve Fund for the drainage installation and road reconstruction project at Hartwood and Woodland, and to authorize the town manager to sign any paperwork.
Second.
Motion by Jennifer, seconded by Nancy Murphy. Any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstained? 7-0-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, the council to issue a proclamation designating the week of May 18th through 24th, 2025 as National Public Works Week.
And do you have, it's the next page.
So every year, we do this Public Works Week, and we take one day out of the week where we actually do training for all 6 divisions. I run 6 divisions of Public Works. It's wide and varied. It's very hard to find training for everyone. But we've managed last year, and they've really enjoyed last year's, and they've used it. And they all keep commenting on it, and they keep saying how wonderful it was. So that was a good thing that we had done. This year, we've got another one that goes across all divisions, and I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it will be electrifying.
That's a hint.
So again, it's something that every one of our people run into at some point or another, and we need to be trained to how to properly deal with that. The other thing we do is we have a luncheon, and then we have a camaraderie afterwards to try to get people to join together, because each division is on their own, and they don't always integrate. So we try to get them to integrate, for each other, and then we can, it's a good day. Usually it's a very good day. And that's basically what we were asking for. But our Public Works employees, I would like to take a minute to say that they are professionals and they are first responders, because the law stated so a few years ago. They actually made us first responders. People don't think of us as first responders. They think of police, they think of fire. But we're the ones that are out in front clearing the roads, making sure that they can get there. So we are also out there. We do a wide variety of work on a daily basis. This includes removing down trees from a storm, plowing, salting, sanding, and maintaining the roads and sidewalks. Public Works also maintains the buildings and grounds, including ball fields and parks. Other divisions properly dispose of and recycle all sorts of materials to keep them out of the environment. We ensure that the wastewater is being properly treated before it's being released. Like I said, we're very wide and varied. Our mechanics service the entire fleet of vehicles for the town, and they keep them running properly. Most importantly, Public Works is always there when and where the people need them. We're always there to respond. So this year's poster, and what this year is people, purpose, and presence. So I think that fits very well.
And they do a great job for the town of Merrimack.
Sure
They are
do.
the unsung heroes. They're out 2 o'clock in the morning, making sure your street is cleared so you can go to work the next day. One thing I'd like to comment with the parks and the ball fields, they maintain municipal-owned parks and municipal-owned ball fields. There's a difference between ball fields. The school has their own staff to do their ball fields. we maintain our own ball fields, municipal owned, and we make sure that they're available to play when the MYA is needed to go out there and use the fields. So just wanted to give them a lot of credit because they do spend a lot of time on that.
Well, I will say this is pothole
I
and
would.
sinkhole season, so. We had a really
Yeah.
hard winter. The frost went deep. It made the roads heave. There's nothing we can do. It was probably one of the worst years I've seen, and it's taken a while for the frost to come out of the ground. Hence, one of the reasons why we haven't got to the Bedford Wire Road intersection flashing lights yet, but we're working on that.
And
So-
some of the fields are closed, but it's not unusual. Every year, it's closed because if you let them play now, it's still muddy. Everybody knows the rain we've had. So you start playing on that, and it's muddy. It ruins the field for the entire season. So I know that there's been some complaints of the municipal fields being closed.
Mhm.
Nothing new. It happens every year.
And the water table in the ground is up
Is.
higher, and that causes a lot of havoc on the roads and, people's basements and
Yeah.
whatnot. But there's nothing I can do about the
That's great.
groundwater.
Well, I suspect the later frost melt.
Made it worse, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it makes for mud
Yes.
season, that's why we have.
Right, and it makes the roads heave up.
Yeah.
So if you went down Daniel Webster Highway, at one point it was dun 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 dun. Well, what happens is underneath Daniel Webster Highway, there are concrete, it was made out of concrete. So they're blocks certain feet wide. So every one of those blocks was heaving, and that was making the road go. And I was so aggravated because we just did that road.
Right.
But again, there's nothing I can do to stop
A
that.
long time ago, they attempted to get rid of the concrete underneath, and it was so expensive, they stopped very quickly, so I remember that time.
We do when we hit, have to do drainage or other buried utilities. Because
Right.
that's the other thing. I mean, we have a lot of pipes in the roads and, conduits and all kinds of things that we have to deal
Right.
with.
Do you need a motion to approve the issuance of a proclamation?
I
Usually
think
he reads
Councilor, Chairman Rothaus would read it, and then somebody would say so moved.
There you go.
It's funny, because the quiet discussion we were having was,
It's like,
should we vote
should we do it or
first
not?
do the problem? So,
That's why I just
Thanks
went
for the
ahead. I know I'd be corrected.
and the next time we go through this, we're gonna
We'll
mention the
remember.
same- No, we won't remember.
We won't remember.
All right, if you will indulge me then. National Public Works Week Proclamation, May 18th through 24, 2025. People, Purpose, and Presence. Whereas public works professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities and to public health, high quality of life, and well-being of the people of Merrimack, New Hampshire. And whereas these infrastructure, facilities, and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of the public works professionals who are engineers, managers, employees at all levels of government and the private sector, who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, wastewater treatment, and solid waste systems, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential for our citizens. And whereas in the public interest for the citizens, civic leaders, and children in Merrimack, New Hampshire to gain knowledge of and maintain an ongoing interest and understanding of the importance of public works and public works programs in their respective communities. And whereas the year 2025 marks the 65th Annual National Public Works Week, sponsored by the American Public Works Association, be it now resolved, we, the Town of Merrimack, New Hampshire Town Council, do hereby designate the week of May 18th through 24, 2025 as National Public Works Week. We urge all citizens to join with representatives of the American Public Works Association and government agencies in activities, events, and ceremonies designed to pay tribute to our public works professionals, engineers, managers, and employees, and to recognize the substantial contributions they make to protecting our national health, safety, and advancing quality of life for all. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the state to be affixed, done at Merrimack, New Hampshire, this 27th day, March 2000. Okay, the date is off. This,
This says March 27th.
Oh, I got pushed.
okay.
Sorry.
Oh, there we go. So this April 10th day, this 8th day of April 2025. My apologies.
So
Signed.
moved.
Thanks, signed the town council.
Yeah, I didn't catch it, sorry.
No, that's okay, because I do remember being told we were gonna push it off. I just didn't catch that myself, but
So I already moved it.
you moved it and seconded by? Peter seconded, okay. And I'll call the question on the proclamation. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstained? 700. And please let everybody know how much we truly appreciate the efforts that they put in. They do seem to have a great time at the annual get-together.
Yeah.
It's always enjoyable going to that.
I would like to invite all of the town council to come to our luncheon, and I would like to have you once again, and along with the town manager, present the Employee of the Year, because that's one thing we do there, is we choose, or they choose, who they
Yeah.
feel amongst the peers is their Employee of the Year for Public Works.
Yeah,
And we would like to have you come and be able to present.
that'd be great.
them again.
They're a great group. We
So
absolutely
that's
will.
May 21st, right?
Yes. Yes, noontime. Or say
Are they
11.
gonna do an open house this year? DPW?
I would imagine. I haven't got a date.
It's always well-attended also.
Yes.
And I know the kids love their handprints on the snowplow blades.
I love that.
And they last. That's what's amazing to me. The paint doesn't come off, so.
I got a grandson that would love to see.
Yeah, I think the first graders come and do that, if I remember correctly.
Is that what it is? Yeah.
I believe so.
Yeah. Well,
So I've
very,
got-
very good.
I've got 2 of them this year that will be going to have their paw prints on,
That's excellent.
because actually their birthday is today.
Oh,
So
happy
I
birthday to
have
them.
twin grandsons, so
And you're here.
and I'm here.
Get out of here.
Too
They're in
late.
bed right now, yes.
Yes.
Well, thanks, Don, for
Thank
everything.
you very
We
much.
appreciate it. All right, I was just looking at the audience and wondering if I'd missed something, but,
No.
next, item 4, under new business, the determination of assignments for the planning board for the current year.
Yeah, the reason why we're bringing this forward is because Councilor Hunter, who graciously said he'd stay, is leaving the town council, and as such, he was the representative of the town council. Normally, when we do this, we do it at the reorg meeting. When I put this on the agenda, I needed to have somebody on it because the planning board was going to meet next Tuesday. I was notified today that that planning board meeting has been canceled for lack of agenda items. However, I still think it's a good idea to appoint one of the remaining counselors here to the planning board. And on the 24th of April, we will appoint the alternate and the rest of the appointments for committees.
And graciously,
Yes, excuse me.
I would be happy to do it. I actually attended a meeting because I had missed the meeting where you guys were talking about, who's gonna be on what committee. So I made an assumption that I was kind of the de facto person. So I showed up at that meeting and just watched and listened. So I wouldn't mind at all. I'm very interested to do it.
Well, when you told us that the first time, we weren't letting you off the hook anyhow, so it's all good.
I know. I was
once
in.
he mentioned it, he was committed.
Should we at the same time switch my name with Mackenzie on the Adult Community Center?
We can do that on the
It will be, okay, very good, then we'll leave this as it is. So, needs a motion?
Motion to appoint
There you go.
Peter Albert to the planning board as the town council representative on the planning board.
Yes.
And I'll make a second.
Motion by Nancy Herron, seconded by Mackenzie. All those in favor of the motion, before he changes his mind, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Abstain? I should abstain, right?
Good. A negative abstain, you're gonna abstain 601. Thanks, Peter, for stepping to the
Yes,
plate.
thank you.
Okay, we have the March 27th meeting minutes.
As we all look to Jennifer.
Absolutely.
I had one, let me see if I can find it. Oh, on the last page, 8, line 25, it says motion made by, should be just missing a C on vice chair.
You are good.
I'm by.
Anybody have anything further?
I'll make a motion to accept the March 27th, 2025 minutes.
Motion by Jennifer, second. Second by Andy. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstaining?
Abstain.
Uh,
I wasn't there.
601. Peter abstaining. Comments from the press and public? Chief?
Evening. What brought, the DPW doing their appreciation day reminded me, and I'm not sure you're aware, but next week is Telecommunicators Week. So those folks that answer your 911
The
calls,
dispatchers?
yes, they're being recognized next week. So they do a thankless job as well. Some of the phone calls that they get from panicked people, and having to manage through that till we arrive to help those public people, they're on the phone with those folks all the time. So just thought I'd mention it, that next week is Telecommunicators Week, so
Thank you.
thank a
Thanks for the heads
dispatcher
up,
if you
Chief.
see one, they do a hard job.
Absolutely,
very
we
much.
appreciate that. Seeing nobody further, comments from the council? Nancy?
I forgot to congratulate Jennifer and Peter for re-election, and we'll be welcoming our new, even though I'm not even gonna talk to him anymore. Anyway, we'll be welcoming our newly elected
Yes.
during the next meeting. So congratulations, I'm glad you
Absolutely.
guys are back.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very good. Andy?
One thing I forgot to mention, impromptu speech, you never think fast enough on your feet, right? One of the reasons why I chose not to run for reelection is most of you guys know, but I work in Massachusetts, and it makes it challenging sometimes to get here, especially when Paul continues to put non-publics on our meeting, and we have to be here sooner. One of the things, I guess you guys probably weren't aware, but you know, when I make it home minutes to go before a council meeting, there's usually a plate of food there, which probably makes my demeanor here much more pleasant because I'm not starving all night. So I wanted to give a big shout out to Sarah. You know, every Thursday I had to be here early. There was always a plate of food waiting for me so I could have a quick bite before I got down here. So I didn't mention that before, but I wanted to make sure I said that before I was done. So thank you.
Absolutely.
I did want to make a comment about, I thought of having a certificate of appreciation written for Sarah. Just to let the public know, Sarah, for the last 3 years anyway, have delivered to every single election post the most spectacular cookies, and everyone can, these aren't just cookies, these are spectacular. But I voted against, I said no, because that gives her permission to not have to, to continue. It's like, we're saying, okay, it's over.
Well
And I'm
played.
choosing,
Well
and I'm
played.
choosing to deny that.
So just make sure she's aware she hasn't been acknowledges.
She can't, she's not gonna get the appreciation.
She's been
later.
reelected. I'll let her know.
And Andy, thank you again. Maybe we said it earlier, but
Yeah,
you
Nancy
will
wasn't
be,
here.
you will be truly missed. And I'm sorry, Nancy.
Oh, no, that's okay. I just wanted to say I agree. And Sarah has come in the rain and in the worst weather. Indy is one place, and Sarah is still delivering our cookies. And as you said, these are not just cookies. These
They're
are
spectacular.
spectacular works of art that everybody said, where did those come from? Because they're so easily distinguishable as different than all the rest. So thank you, Sarah Hunter, for those, and just really being so gracious to all of us and all of the poll workers that really appreciate that every year. And you know, we will miss Andy, but we will also miss those cookies. So thank you, Andy.
All righty. Oh, good save. Nothing further, Andy?
Move to adjourn.
Let's not say a second. No, I'm only kidding.
And who will second it then?
I'll make a second.
Okay, motion by Andy, his final motion to adjourn, and seconded by Mackenzie. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstained. Thank you, everybody.